I want to go no contact with my mom because she told my children I'm a whore, but I also don't want to be written out of the will.
Ooh.
The last time I saw my dad, he managed to cause a car wreck, strip in front of my wife, and spend our dinner together getting drunk and gambling.
Oh, God.
Welcome back to Delve Deck Stories. Today we are reading some dysfunctional family stories. Our first story comes from Erin, and she answered, "What is something most people don't know about you?" from the original deck. I went to bars and clubs with my mom when I was 14 so I could be her designated driver.
Okay. Illegal.
Yeah,
Probably
like,
there's another
what
illegal thing in there. Yeah.
Is this? What year is this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Seatbelts weren't even a thing back then.
Well, when did they change? I feel like the driving age maybe used to just not be a thing.
It was just the Wild
Who
West.
knows how old Erin is?
Yeah.
I don't usually tell people about this because their face does that thing your face is probably doing right now upon hearing this. Then things get awkward and I have to think of a joke to lighten the mood, like something about a priest and a rabbi going to a bar rather than a young teenage girl. I bet that works.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone is like busting a gut to that joke.
You have to understand, though, that growing up, I thought my mother and I were pals. She didn't talk to me like a kid. She talked to me like an adult, and she told me I was her best friend all the time.
That's called unhealthy.
Yeah.
That is an unhealthy relationship.
That's such a red flag from a parent. Your kid's not your best friend. You can be nice and friendly with them, but they're not your best friend.
The kid being like, oh, she's my best friend. Mm-hmm. Not like that. Not like that.
If she couldn't sleep, she'd climb into bed with me, and we'd have a slumber party. She'd tell me about her problems, and I'd lend a supportive ear.
I just want to know, was the mom drunk at each point of these moments?
I mean, it's definitely possible, but even if she wasn't, like...
Yeah,
your kid shouldn't be giving you life advice when they're a child.
Right.
If she felt bad about her looks, I was her hype girl. If a romantic relationship fell apart, I was there to tell her he didn't deserve her. If she came home drunk, I put her to bed.
As a kid, you've got so many other things going on.
Yeah. It was that way for as long as I could remember, and as a kid, it made me feel important. It made me feel mature. I didn't relate to kids my own age, but it was only because I was too sophisticated for them. Why would I want to send Barbie and Ken on dates in a fake pink plastic Corvette when I had real life Barbie at home who let me help her pick Kens from the personal ads? She's like, hey, which one do you want to be your new dad?
Yeah. Which one do you like? Also, personal ads, I feel like that's dating it a bit.
Yeah.
When it was the 80s, 90s, earlier?
I don't know, whenever newspapers existed. My mother didn't have friends her age either. Other women were jealous or catty, and my mother didn't need them because she had me. Everything about this is so toxic, and I know
Were
you
they
know
jealous
that.
of the mother, or was that what the mother told the daughter?
When I was young, she'd go out without me. I'd stay home alone and do whatever I wanted because in my mind, I was a grown-up too. Cookies for dinner, R-rated movies, stay up all night, no rules, no limits, no supervision. But when high school started, things changed. We were at the mall on a Saturday, and I was trying on clothes when my mother said, "You look so good in that dress. I bet you could pass for 21. I was 14. I felt flattered, but I was like, nah, no one would believe that.
I feel like
the
mother's been like planning this. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm waiting.
I can't wait for her to go to the bars with me.
Boom.
With some makeup and heels, they would, she replied in a mischievous tone. Next thing I knew, we were at the cosmetics counter at Macy's, and a sales girl was painting me up like a stretched canvas. When she was done, even I had to admit I no longer looked like a kid. What'd the mom do? She was like, hey, make her look like a 21-year-old so she can go party with me. We should go out tonight, my mom said on the way home.
This is escalating very quickly. We went from, you could pass off, to, let's go get you that free makeup, to, we should do it tonight because I'm not going to do this makeup.
No, she's ready for it. You want to go out with me on a Saturday, I asked. Saturdays were usually for clubbing and trying to meet men. We had a girls' night out sometimes, but usually it was a midweek thing for pizza or a movie. I'd never been invited for a girls' night on a Saturday. I hate that she's calling it a girls' night.
I was going to say, this is not a girls' night.
This is your mom being...
This is the emotional...
No boundaries. We can grab a drink, hang out, she replied casually. Your makeup looks so good. Let's show it off.
No, okay, hold on. It's not we can grab a drink. It's I can grab a drink and you can just stand around.
I think she's gonna have her drink.
No!
Well,
What?
hopefully not, since she's driving.
DD.
I don't know.
Drunk driver. We're gonna rebrand this.
With the aid of the makeup, a slinky dress, and some stiletto heels, my mother and I looked more like sisters than mother and daughter. She was right. I looked 21. I doubt that.
Probably not.
When we got to the bar, the doorman seemed to know my mom. She flirted. She told him I was her sister and that I'd lost my ID, and he let us into the bar with no questions. Once inside, I felt overwhelmed. It was loud and crowded, and the people inside seemed old to me. They were. My mom ushered us over to the bar and ordered a vodka soda for herself and a soda for me. I sipped my drink and watched my mother chat up the men sitting next to us. A song came on she liked, and she wandered off to dance, leaving me to watch her purse. Within a minute, a man approached me. He didn't seem terribly old, maybe 25 or so, but much too old for me. All by yourself, he asked. I'm here with my sister, but she went to dance, I stammered. He introduced himself and took the seat next to me.
Yeah, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, she looks young. He introduced himself and took the seat next to me. I didn't know what to do. He clearly couldn't tell I was a kid. Okay, no, he could. Yeah. Could I blame him? We were in a 21 and up bar. It was late. I was wearing more makeup than RuPaul. The guy started talking at me, and I nodded politely, hoping he'd get bored and go away. I wondered if this was what being an adult is like. He asked for my number. I said, "You give me your number." I felt proud of myself for thinking on my feet about how to dodge his request. "Ooh, a take charge woman," he said. "I like it." I felt a wave of disgust, but tried to mask it with a polite smile. I was getting annoyed and getting tired. I wanted to go home. Dude, no.
I don't like that.
No. I spent the next few hours deflecting advances from men, many old enough to be my father, while my mother drank and danced and flirted.
Oh, God.
This is so awful.
Where's CPS?
I started to feel something I hadn't before. I started feeling resentful. She hadn't come to check on me once. She hadn't noticed all these men approaching me. She didn't care that I felt uncomfortable. She didn't even know. This wasn't a night of mother-daughter bonding. It was just another night out for her, and I didn't know why I was there.
I mean, we all know why you were there.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be. This is...
You'd be home, hanging out.
Yeah.
Doing all those other things.
Hanging out with kids your own age.
Yeah. But that's what happens. You have a mother or a parent who puts a lot of pressure on you, a lot of responsibilities. Like it's like someone
you're
who...
forcing kids to grow up too fast.
Not cool, dude.
As the bar closed, the reason for the invitation became clear. She wanted me to drive her home. I was only 14. I did not have a license, but we were just a couple miles from home. And at this point, my mother had given me enough driving lessons to navigate fairly empty streets for 10 minutes. Plus, of the two of us, I was the sober one. She's 100% been planning this her entire life.
Yeah.
She's giving her driving lessons. She was like ready to go. She's like, all right,
she's been grooming her to be
day.
The designated driver.
Yeah. As she fell into the passenger seat, already half passed out, she glanced over at me and said, "You're my best friend," and then nodded off.
Nope.
I don't know. Everybody needs therapy in this story.
Yeah.
It was the first time I didn't feel the same way, and it was not the last time I'd accompany her for a night out like this. I couldn't exactly refuse. I was the kid and she was the parent, not that she acted like one. The gravity of all of this didn't really hit me until I was an adult myself. I realized what was presented to me as a little harmless rule breaking at the time was such a complete violation of so many boundaries. A violation I still resent now, even as an adult. We often don't even realize how bad some experiences are until we have enough distance. We often don't even realize how bad some experiences are until we've had enough distance from them to look at them more objectively, and going bar hopping with my mom as a teenager was one of the worst.
Yeah, but at the same time, maybe this was a bit of a learning experience for her or like an eye-opening experience to be like, now I know
set boundaries.
Set boundaries, but also realized, okay, there's something else going on here. It's not just
my
mother-daughter
mom sucks.
time. And my mother is a manipulative type of person, and it's really sad.
And for
I feel sorry for you.
Companionship.
For your situation.
Parents need better boundaries. Unfortunately, I think a lot of parents do stuff like this. Our next story comes from Mark. It's what was your last straw with someone you stopped speaking to, from the original deck. The last time I saw my dad, he managed to cause a car wreck, strip in front of my wife, and spend our dinner together getting drunk and gambling.
Oh, God.
I haven't spoken to him since. I think
What?
a lot of people shouldn't have kids.
Amen.
This final incident took place before a childhood friend's wedding. My wife and I had gone to Atlanta because an old friend was getting married there. My dad lives about 2 hours away, so I told him I was going to be there and invited him to come see us. Since it's a long drive, we rented a short stay apartment with 2 bedrooms so my dad could spend the night and not drive home in a single day. I told my dad he could meet us at the short stay rental around 4 p.m. and we'd take him to dinner. 4 p.m. came and went, and I didn't hear from him all day. I called him at 5, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I tried again an hour later, but it was the same, so I called my sister, who also lives near him, and asked if she'd seen or heard from my dad, but she had not. As soon as I hung up with my sister, my dad was calling and I picked up. Dad, where are you? He goes, I don't know. I'm on the side of the road somewhere. I fell asleep behind the wheel and drove into a truck. I think my car is totaled and I might have a concussion. I said, oh my God, did you call an ambulance? He said, nah, I just drove off, but now I'm lost and my phone is about to die and I'm not sure where I am. I was like, wait, what? But he hung up.
This is nuts.
I explained the situation to my wife and told her my dad isn't the most reliable person, so this car accident could be anywhere from a minor fender bender to bleeding out on the side of the road. She asked if we should call highway patrol, but I told her I thought we should wait in case he was exaggerating the situation. I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but my dad lives for chaos and is the type of person who would make a minor fender bender sound like a 10-car pileup. Yeah, I don't know.
I've met someone like that before.
Yeah, we all know those people. It's the boy who cried wolf. You're like,
It was actually a woman that was on the reality TV Bravo show, Startup, and I tapped her bumper, and she said online and on Twitter and all over, she said it was a fender bender, the car was wrecked, it was totaled, it was a huge car accident. I just bumped the fender, that's all it was.
Wow. Who's telling the truth and who's lying?
I mean, I am, because I have the receipts to prove it.
Yeah, no, people are dramatic, especially in car accidents. I don't know. My dad showed up with his badly smashed car an hour later, and before I could say a word, he goes, don't worry, I have a guy who can fix it. I asked what happened, and he explained that he'd nodded off driving, smashed into a semi-truck, and then driven off. I was like, that's a hit and run. You cannot drive into a truck and take off. He shrugged it off and insisted I was being dramatic.
Classic.
We go up to the short stay and I show my dad the room he's staying in and he goes, can't I sleep with you and Amy? I was like, WTF? No, you can't sleep with us. I tell him to please get ready for dinner since it's getting late. So he starts taking his clothes off right in front of me and my wife to change for dinner. I was like, what are you doing? Go change in the other room. Dad is drunk.
Yeah, this is, I think I've got a concussion. Maybe.
Probably.
But you're probably just like hungover,
Probably
still
both.
drunk.
He says to my wife, Mark is so uptight, always been like this. He's no fun. I was so embarrassed. Amy had met my dad a few times before, so she knows what he's like, but I swear he is worse every time I see him. He's losing his mind. We took him to dinner where he spent the entire time downing scotch, playing with his phone, and hitting on our waitress. I was like, what is going on with your phone? And he tells us he's betting on horses.
Oh, no, not betting on the ponies.
I was like, great, he's drinking and gambling again. My father has been a drunk my whole life, but has quit a few times, only to start again. He has also had gambling issues off and on as long as I can remember. Yeah, he was definitely drunk when he crashed into that truck.
Yeah.
Probably on his phone, betting on horses.
Yeah. Maybe he was imagining he was riding one of the horses.
We get back to the short stay. He is hammered and bitching about losing money and saying it's my fault because I distracted him while he was placing bets. Oh no. I was so angry.
I understand why he stopped talking to him.
Yeah. I was so angry and just wanted him gone. I'd come to town early to try to spend time with my father, and in that time, he'd caused a hit and run accident, stripped in front of my wife, and spent our entire time together getting drunk and gambling on his phone instead of paying any attention to me. I felt like such an idiot for giving him so many chances and trying trying to have a relationship with him. I could barely look at him the next morning. As soon as he left, I told Amy I was done with him and have not spoken to him since. This was 10 years ago.
Wow. It's one of those things where I'm like, you would hope that the parent who's on the receiving end of that, like the child is like, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. The parent would be like, oh, you know what? This is an inflection point. This is when I'm going to say,
I need to change.
Like, this is rock bottom. Like, once you've lost family, you're like, you would think, but it's probably not.
I think
you'd be like, this is rock bottom for me, and I now have to fix my life.
Yeah.
But clearly, based on this, I'm assuming he hasn't.
Next up is Melissa. What's your not my proudest moment story from our venting deck? I made up a fake boyfriend to impress my mother. All right.
Why would you do that? I mean, we'll find out, but why would you do that?
Why? Growing up, I was surrounded by girls my age who had strict parents. Parents who wouldn't let them wear makeup, parents who wouldn't let them date. I did not have that kind of parent. I was raised by a boy-crazy single mom, and from an early age, mom only wanted one thing: for me to be a pretty girl with a lot of attention from boys.
These parents
People don't have kids.
You're like, oh, I'm gonna live vicariously through your life. I'm gonna live out my fantasy by grooming you for years. You know, it's like, what are we doing?
I learned to apply mascara and walk in heels before I learned long division or state capitals. These weren't necessarily my interests, but I wanted my mom's approval, so I played along. Anytime I did anything she deemed positive, she'd beam with pride and tell me I was her best friend. Again with this best friend nonsense. Yeah. Stop it. Your child is not your best friend. Get a best friend.
Parents need to stop trying to be so cool.
Stop trying to be your kid's best friend. Have a good relationship with them. Yeah. Now, her idea of positive was tracking my calories to stay slim and wearing lipstick, not acing a test or placing in a spelling bee.
I went to school with a girl whose mom was like this.
There's so many moms that were... and probably are like this, unfortunately. By middle school, mom was on my case about getting a boyfriend. Did you meet any cute boys at school yet? She'd ask expectantly. When I shrugged this off, she suggested I join after-school clubs, look around in the lunchroom. Surely there were cute boys in school somewhere. I wasn't even sure I knew what a cute boy was. I understood about the faces on the cover of tween magazines. There were the Coreys, Haim, and Feldman. Should I know who these people are?
Yeah. You know Corey Feldman. He's... Oh, well, whatever. We'll have this talk off camera. Oh, my God.
Is it Haim?
Who?
Haim? Okay. I'm thinking of the band Haim.
Oh, yeah. No.
All
the
right,
sisters?
let me see. There were the Coreys, Haim, and Feldman. There, Stephen, you got me saying it correctly. But no boys at my school looked like that, and none of them really interested me. I mostly wanted to read horror novels and watch MTV with my friends, as you should in middle school.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
That is normal.
I did not want to find a boyfriend or apply the perfect smoky eyeshadow. I mean, I did want to do that as a kid. Smoky eyeshadow?
Smoky eyeshadow?
Yeah, I was not good at it, though. I just painted my entire eyelid, like, with black liquid eyeliner and was like... One weekend, I had gone roller skating with girls from school, and when mom picked me up, she greeted me with the usual, "Were there any cute boys at the skating rink today?" Before I could even think, I replied, "Yes, actually, I did meet a cute boy," and we skated together all afternoon. I regretted the words as soon as they escaped my mouth, but my mom was already firing away with a zillion questions. What's his name? What does he look like? Where does he go to school? Did you get his number? Mom, you gotta chill.
Yeah. Also, this is making sense. Why
she lied?
She lied.
Yeah. I had already started lying, and once I started, I just kept going. His name is Eric. He looks like Fred Savage.
Okay.
He goes to Catholic school. He plays hockey. The lies came out so fast, I was struggling to even keep track myself. But mom was on cloud 9. I couldn't remember the last time she seemed so happy.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Mom immediately started coaching me on how to make Eric happy. I should bring him gifts, laugh at his jokes, pay him compliments. Mom asked when I was seeing him again. I told her I was meeting him at the skating rink the next weekend. For weeks, I made up stories about Eric. I pretended to meet this imaginary boy at the skating rink on Saturdays, but usually I just hung out in the parking lot out back alone, reading Stephen King novels and downing Diet Cokes.
She didn't even roller skate?
Well, it probably costs money, and you're like, oh, I'm not just gonna skate alone.
I guess.
I don't know. This sucks.
It does.
Then Mom would pick me up, and I'd make up stories about how my date with Eric went.
Well, if anything, at least she's like pursuing creative writing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, she's, and just downing Diet Cokes, which is good for everyone.
Yeah. I'm hoping, though, at some point she comes up with a creative ending. She's like, oh, he died in a fiery car crash or something. Or maybe some Stephen King kind of like horror ending.
He was eaten by a killer car.
Exactly. Boom.
Classic.
You know that reference, but you don't know the Goon. Okay. You know what? Wow.
I know the Goonies.
Okay.
I just saw it once and when I was an adult. The trouble started when Mom began hounding me for an introduction. She wanted to meet Eric. She wanted me to invite him over. This presented a problem since Eric didn't exist. I was going to have to get rid of him. It was time for Eric to have an accident. Oh no.
I'm saying, dude. He's got to go off the cliff.
Yeah. The following weekend, Eric took a nasty spill at the skating rink and broke his leg. The paramedics came and took him away before Mom picked me up. She'd have to wait at least until his leg healed to meet him, and by then I'd think of some new excuse. I mean, why? She can't meet a boy with a broken leg?
Yeah.
Come on.
You got to be more drastic. Like, he slipped, fell, hit his head, and he's in a coma.
Yeah.
Done.
Mom insisted we work on a care package for Eric. Oh, geez. We should make sure he knows we're rooting for a speedy recovery, she suggested. I humored Mom perusing the drugstore for a get well card and stuffed animal for the imaginary boy. I faked a call to him, trying to make plans to drop off the gifts. That's when I got the idea to make his parents the problem. His parents are pretty mad, I informed my mother. They said his broken leg means he has to miss hockey practice for the rest of the season, and they're not happy about it. They told him he's not allowed to have a girlfriend anymore. All right.
Yeah.
Solid excuse.
I thought she was going to blame herself and be like, they said it was my fault because I was the one who told him to go to the skating rink.
I pushed him. Mom was unsurprisingly outraged at the news. She tried to convince me to let her talk to his mom. She suggested ways I could win him back. I wasn't having it, though. I'd had enough of the fictional boyfriend, and I was taking this out. I assured her there were plenty of other cute boys where Eric came from, and that we didn't need to worry about trying to win him back. Mom seemed cheered up by the prospect of new boys and gave up on hassling me about Eric. You're in middle school. Calm down, Mom. Like,
don't be so thirsty, dude.
No middle school relationship is going to last longer than like a week.
Yeah, 2 weeks max. You're like, oh, I got a crush on another boy or another girl or whatever it is. And you'd be like, G2G, bye. You know, I know these conversations all exist within like AIM and stuff. That's AOL Instant Messenger for those of you who didn't experience that.
I know that reference.
Yeah. I mean, you're also going through puberty. So you're like, I like this person. I don't like anyone. I like everyone.
Come on. I know girls sometimes make up stories to impress their peers and get them to stop picking on them, but I might be the only middle school girl in history who invented a fake boyfriend to please her mom. All right, comment section. Is she the only one in history?
Yeah. But also at the end there, she said, oh, there are plenty more boys where Eric came from. And I'm like, yeah. In your head. There's tons.
In your dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody needs a boyfriend in middle school.
Focus on your multiplication tables.
Watch the Goonies. So that you don't embarrass yourself on YouTube one day. Our final story is from Elizabeth, and it is, what is something you do want advice about? From our original deck. Oh, yeah. I want to go no contact with my mom because she told my children I'm a whore, but I also don't want to be written out of the will.
Ooh.
More bad parents.
That's a tough one.
Shocking. All right.
How much is in the will?
Yeah.
How much money are we talking about?
How much money?
People do some crazy stuff for money.
Brief background. My family is pretty wealthy. I don't say this to brag, but it is a big part of my predicament. I know I'm extremely fortunate, but I've also put up with a lot of emotional abuse from my parents over the years because they've done so much for me financially. My mom specifically has always been an issue. As a child, she used to restrict the amount of food I was allowed to eat, and after having both of my children, she would tell me how fat I had become daily until I got back to my pre-pregnancy weight. Obviously, this had done a lot of damage to my self-esteem. Yeah.
Another mother who's manipulating their daughter.
A lot of moms love to project their food issues, especially onto their daughters.
And I mean, everyone is like a victim of the previous generation's treatment. Like, it's maybe a lessened in its external kind of communication or treatment or whatever. Like, I can only imagine, like, a few generations back, you're like, that parent was very scolding, very outspoken, very verbally abusive, whatever it is. And, like, every generation, you're like, I got to be better than the last one. I don't want to treat my kids like that. But there's there's always something that comes through.
It's generational trauma, and you have to break the cycle either by working on yourself or just don't have kids.
Yeah. Or emancipating yourself and moving to Europe.
Oh, okay. That's an option. So why is my mom calling me a whore? I married my high school sweetheart after I graduated college. We were young and in love and both really wanted to start a family. We believed we were soulmates. The first 10 years of marriage were pure bliss and we had 2 beautiful children. Then, once we both got into our 30s and the stress of raising 2 children was weighing on us, the problems began. It was nothing horribly crazy, just 2 people who started dating when they were 17, realizing they had nothing in common anymore. Also, there was a growing feeling that I had missed out on those crazy early 20s dating, hooking up years.
You did. You did.
You did.
I mean, let's just be honest. You did. You missed it, and now you have regrets and are trying to live through the child.
I mean, listen, I'm sure some people are very happy with their high school sweetheart, but I personally just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, like you trying to lay with the only person you've ever kissed? No, you have to experience life, meet new people.
Also, you don't know anything when you're that age.
That's the part that gets you. It's like, she was like, oh, we were high school sweethearts. And then during your 20s, when you're like really figuring out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, all those things are changing. So yeah, of course, in your 30s, you're like, I like different stuff. I'm a different person.
And you can grow together. Like, some people do grow together, but I just think it's like, it's hard.
It's also, there's a higher divorce rate for people who marry under the age of 25.
Yes.
That's just facts.
When I brought this up to my husband, he got angry and told me that he would never think something so horrible about me. This made me feel even worse. Then I met Dave. Dave went to the same gym as me and was recently divorced. He understood what I was going through, and after getting to know each other more, I started having an affair. I know this is wrong and I felt bad about it, but I can't change what happened. After about 2 months of this, I decided I needed to leave my husband. Dave and I had more of a connection, and I no longer wanted to be living a double life. Maybe I should have just asked for a divorce, but I opted to tell him the truth about the affair. He was, unsurprisingly, extremely angry. Do you think she should have told the truth?
I mean, before it happens, sure. Like, I would have been like, hey, I'm not happy. Let's have a divorce. Before I get into the affair.
Yeah, before you have an affair.
But yeah.
But do you tell the person about the affair, or do you just divorce them and leave them ignorance is bliss?
I don't know. In that sense, I'd be like, maybe ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Like, I don't know. It's like rubbing salt in the wound.
I'd rather not. Like, I'd rather not know.
Like, if this person...
if you're going to leave me, just leave me.
Yeah. I feel like it would just be salt in the wound to be like, I want a divorce. And by the way, I was having an affair with this other guy at the gym, and he's way better looking, way more muscular. Like,
yeah, go into the details.
Yeah, like, you don't...
all the reasons why.
Because then that other person's like, well, who's this guy? What does he look like?
Yeah.
Then your mind spirals, and it's not healthy. Sometimes secrets are important.
Let us know in the comments what you think. Dave and I started dating, but the divorce was very messy. Luckily, my parents had made me sign a prenup, so there was no fighting over money, but we both wanted custody of the kids. Then, one day, the kids had been staying with my mom. My ex had dropped them off earlier that day, and I was picking them up to go see a movie. As we're driving, I asked how their day was, and my youngest son says, we got to play Legos, and then Grandma said, you're a whore.
Oh, man. Was that like... I wonder, was Grandma just like an afternoon drink, and she's like, God, where's your mother, that whore?
Yeah, mother's a whore.
Is that whore coming to pick you up yet?
My initial thought was that she had said something else, and my 5-year-old had heard her wrong. So I asked what she meant by that. I don't know. That's what she said. So I asked my oldest, did Grandma say that? And he says, yeah, Grandma said you cheated on Dad, and only sluts and whores do that.
Damn.
Wow, Grandma.
Wow. Also, they didn't even mention sluts.
They're like, we don't know what that is.
We just caught the whore. We just caught the last word, whore.
I wanted to puke. I had not told my mom about the affair, which means my ex had, and I was not giving my children all the details of the divorce because they were still young kids and didn't need to know that sort of thing. I told them that Grandma shouldn't have said those words and not to repeat them. After the movie, I called my mom. When she picked up the phone, I could tell she had been drinking.
I'm just saying. It just seemed like it was a slip of the tongue. Like she's a couple martinis deep in the afternoon as she's watching the kids play.
Also, it's like, you just got money. You're wealthy.
Yeah,
Just
and I
drinking.
just-
Your mother's a whore.
Yeah. She's like, oh, Gerard, please get me another martini.
Also, your mother's a slut.
Also, I just imagine now at first I was thinking it was a butler, but now I imagine just the kids making the martini.
Yeah, it's definitely the kids.
Yeah, she's like, make grandmammy a puppy.
She always enjoyed having a few drinks, but ever since she retired and my dad died, her drinking had become more of a problem. I wanted to keep my cool, but once I started talking, I couldn't stop crying. I was yelling at her, asking why she would say that to my children. She starts yelling right back at me about what a disappointment I had always been and that my ex was such a good guy. I ended up hanging up the phone on her, and we haven't spoken since. This isn't the first issue I've had with my mom, but to me, this is an unacceptable boundary that she's crossed. I cannot believe she would say something like that to my children. Paired with her growing drinking problem, I don't think I want her in my life anymore. However, when she eventually passes, I am set to receive a lot of money and 2 houses that are both worth millions.
I mean,
Since I'm an only child, all of this should go to me, but I know if I go no contact, she will write me out of the will. I also feel bad because I am her only child and her husband is now gone, so she doesn't really have anyone else in her life. I have no idea what to do and feel so conflicted about the entire situation.
I mean, okay, look, money can buy you happiness, okay? But it is one of those things where if I was in that situation, I'd be like, fine. I bring the kids around, not very often, hang out, cordial setting, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, that is really unacceptable, what
Am
your mom
I a bad
did.
person for saying that?
No, I feel the same way,
Yeah.
but, we don't have that much money.
Yeah,
so-
I don't have millions right now. I would love millions. I want a house with a backyard,
Yeah. I think I feel like I would also, but you have to set some boundaries.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can figure that out.
But also, even on its own, relationship side, I would definitely be like, am I taking something away from my children to have at least some memories with her?
I don't know.
that
She sounds not that cool.
Right. Doesn't sound great in terms of how she speaks about her own daughter, the mother, but for the children,
But if all your memories with grandma are that she's drunk and calling your mom a whore, I don't know.
Maybe there's a setting that you could have grandma in where that isn't
Yeah.
alcohol's not available, right? Or I don't know.
Maybe she's going to die soon.
Hey.
How old is grandma?
Next time you see her, it'll be in the grave.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you would do if you were in this position. Do you put up with abusive parent for millions of dollars? Because
I'm just saying that could fund a lot of therapy, okay? A lot of therapy.
Yeah.
Vacations.
I do think it's hard when there's kids in the mix, though.
Yeah.
But $1 million is $1 million.
I mean,
That is it for Delve Deck Stories. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, you can like, subscribe, comment, and if you have your own story that you would like to share with us, you can go to share.delvedeck.com and we might read it on an episode.